black and white photography? What makes it so special compared to our traditional color images? It is the type of photography that individuals started shooting from the very beginning back in the early 1800s. It portrays age with a sense of simplicity. Yet even if the image doesn't have color, an image shot in this way can stand out to someone as a piece of fine art photography. Tones of light and dark can give an image depth and contrast that even some color images cannot show. It is an art form of its own, in a sense, because of the way we perceive it in our minds. So today I really just wanted to talk about black and white photography. And the thing about this kind of photography is that it really is a true art form. It really shows the highlights and darks and it just gives your photograph a little bit of like age a little bit. It makes your photograph really pop. And that's the thing, you can really just make really cool pictures out of nothing. Almost. So, because everything around you could be interesting, you just have to be creative about it. You have to have the right mindset. You have to see it in a different way, in a way that people don't really see things almost. But that's your way of basically putting life into something and telling a story about whatever it is. And that's the thing about photography is all about telling a story and then really showing people what is in your heart and what you're trying to portray to someone else. That's why I love photography. Photography it expresses who you are. It expresses things that you are dreaming of, things that you're thinking about, things that make you happy. Just everything. So when you're taking pictures, it's just something to think about. So, how do we get a good picture? How do we make something look really good? And sure, you can just use your phone and just take black and white pictures. That's a given, But are you going to get the right depth of field? Are you going to get the depth that you want and just everything about it when you're using that kind of device? And yeah, you could just take a black and white picture that way. That's fine. But there's a way of doing it. There's a way of really getting the right kind of photo to make a black and white image, to make it look timeless, to make it look like it is something that is old and just a piece of art in general. Alright, so first we'll be talking about contrast. And what is contrast? Contrast is the degree of difference between two colors or between the lightest lights and the darkest darks in a image. So when you are basically creating an image, you always want to look for contrast. You want to look for the darkest points of an image and the lightest points and see what is going to make this image really pop. Because when it turns black and white, everything changes. The sky will be light, the ground will be light, but your silhouette will be dark. So let's go ahead and change it into a black and white image. I want to show you what it does. Alright, automatically you can see where the darkest darks are and the lightest lights are. And you can go ahead and get an idea how this picture will look, especially after I change things a little bit to adjust the contrast. A very contrasty image is what makes black and white work. When you have a flat image, it doesn't work so well. And also when it's busy. When it's a busy picture, say like this one right here, you can have some contrast like in the sky, but when you hit the black and white filter, it becomes more muddy. And the black and white doesn't work as well. Alright, so here is an example of how you can make a color photograph look great as a black and white. Now in this small little tutorial, I'm going to show you what you can do to make a picture with a really cool foreground that has a really nice background stand out with lots of contrast and have cool texture in it. So first of all, let me go ahead and turn on this layer. First of all, we're going to go ahead and convert it to a black and white. But as you notice, I made sure I painted out the sky. Because what I'm going to do first is just the foreground. So with my edit, you can see that I put more in the reds, had some in the yellow, and put a little bit in the green, cyan. I took away from the red, and then I took away from the blue. That way I can adjust for my foreground only. So that's one other way you can do this, is you can do separate filters for your foreground and background. So when I add my second black and white adjustment layer in Photoshop, you see how now the sky is black and white, but I had adjusted for what I want. The dark tones in the sky, the light tones. Now this is blown out, but I don't really mind that because it gives you a kind of point in a way. Now when I add my gradient map, which a gradient map is actually just one of these, you just hit gradient map and then you have this gradient. And when you go into the gradient, you then create your own gradient. And what I like to do is put a nice mid-tone in the middle. So say a nice lighter gray. That way I can actually play around a little bit more and have more tone to fix my image. But we already did it, so I'm going to get rid of that layer. But just to give you an idea. Alright, so now what I did with this image is I then used dodge and burn. And I painted blacks where my shadows are and lights where the sun is shining. So then I have the effect of the sun coming down from this direction. And that's something else you can do. You can always play with light in black and white photos. And it gives it a really nice effect. And there we have the finished product. So another thing that you have to look for when you're taking a black and white image is you have to look for patterns, textures, and lines. That is what makes a really nice black and white image. Right here, you have a nice pattern of trees and a fence, and it gives it really a nice look when you take a black and white image. And this is what it looks like. So come with me and let's go see if we can find more of those patterns and textures and lines, so then we can get some really awesome black and white photos. So I found this really cool church. I thought it would be a perfect place to take some really cool black and white pictures of texture, and just, it's a really cool building just for that kind of neat dark shadowing. I'm going to go ahead and show you this real quick. Just look at all that texture and the roof and just the adobe bricks in this building. Perfect for just black and white photos. When you're taking black and white pictures, you just want to find texture, you want to find shadows, you want to find anything that looks old, because it just adds that much more to your photograph and makes it just really iconic and in its own time. When you're looking for photos to take black and white pictures of, look for textures and anything out of the ordinary. You never know what you're going to find. Now I know this image is pretty busy looking, but I just had to take a picture of this because I thought it was pretty cool. Alright guys, so we have this image right here, and I want to show you how to make a black and white, or at least how my process is to do this. So we have this really nice color image right here. It's an old phone booth telephone, and I thought this was just really cool and just old and had a lot of character. So what I want to do is I want to turn it into a black and white image. So I'm going to go to my adjustment layers right here, and then I'm going to hit black and white. Alright, So automatically it looks really good so far, but we can also bring out some the sky up here and maybe even some more of the darker tones. We got some of these really neat stickers on here as well. So let's go ahead and play around with those sliders, see what we have. There's a red in there, but we don't want to darken it too much because those letters need to be shown in the stickers up here. You just have to adjust basically the contrast of each color, how it's going to stand out against black and white. Okay, so it looks really good, just like that. But let's go ahead and see if we can take it a step further and make it really pop. Okay, so we went with a gradient map on our adjustment layer, and as you can see, it is black and white, but we want to add a little bit of gray in there to give us some mid-tones. And I'm going to do like a little above middle gray. And then I'm going to pull the slider over a little bit and squeeze the black. No, that didn't work. Let's go squeeze it the other way and see what happens. Too dark. That looks just about right. Our highlights a little too bright out there, but I can pick those back up. Or paint those back in just a second. So let's hit OK. So what I like to do is bring out as much of the darks as I can to make it really sharp and crispy with those black tones. So let's go ahead and paint some of this back in right here. As you can see, there's not too much I can do because they're already highlighted, but the sky has some tones that I really want back in there. Maybe some of the phone right here. You can always bring it back because when you do adjustment layers, you have a mask that you can paint on. So it makes it very nice because you're not doing any destructive editing. That's always a bonus. When you zoom in, see all the tones. It looks really cool. This is just a random phone booth in the middle of nowhere. And I thought it had some really neat texture. Alright, so that's just an idea of how I do my workflow with black and whites. Just a little refresher. I just use my adjustment layers for black and white. Then adjust the dials, the sliders, and then I do a gradient map and then paint back in when I want to get those really nice dark tones. Hope that helps, guys. Alright guys, so I'm at our local little lake here. It's a neighborhood lake, so it's kind of a pond, I guess. But I'm going to try to see if I can get some cool pictures here, and I'll show you guys what this place is all about. It's kind of a cool little place that we have here, and it's a nice little relaxing spot. There's ducks and fish and turtles, and just kind of a nice little neighborhood place. So let's go check out what we have and maybe go get some pictures. So we're going to try and get some more black and white pictures, but I'll show you everything. All right. Alright guys, well that ends it for today. The sun is starting to go down and I think that's about it. So I hope you're all doing well. Please take care of yourself. I hope you learned something from this video and that it could teach you something a little bit more about black and white that you didn't know about. And if anything, just take something away from it. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel please if you liked it as well. If you wanted to, you can share this. That'd be awesome. Helps me a ton. And I just thank you for all my new subscribers, for joining my channel, for being a part of this community, and for making everything happen for me. You guys are awesome. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.